Hi, my speech today is on bad parenting and whether or not we should make it so parents have to have a license to become parents. You are required to have a license to drive a car, shoot a gun, and get married. But anyone can have a baby, bring life into this world. We see this downside quite often of not of anybody being able to have a baby. We see it on late night TV, we see it on YouTube, and we especially see it in our school systems. Bad parenting, or a lack of parenting in some cases, is slowly killing our nation. It has far worse consequences than marijuana, Wall Street crooks, or anything that could come out of gay marriage. It raises the question, should individuals require a license to have children? I work in a school system, and every day I see kids come to school with, in the wintertime, with no jackets, no hats, no mittens, sometimes even wearing mismatched shoes. And they're dirty, they're not bathed, they're not taken care of, they don't brush their teeth, and the only time they get to eat is if they eat at school. In some cases, parents are doing the best they can and they're working as hard as they can, but in my experience, most situations they just don't care, and their children are a meal ticket. So, like I said, their children are a meal ticket, and they use that to live off the state, and so essentially in the long term, us middle class working individuals, are taking care of their kids. If it were not for low-income housing, the school system I work in probably really wouldn't have any kids. Living in northern Maine, having such a small community, majority of the kids are underprivileged, and I've worked at an after-school program, like I said, for 5 years, and I've worked at a local pool lifeguarding for 7 years. I see kids come to the pool by themselves, under the age of 5, alone, no towel, no sunscreen, no supervision. I see firsthand every single day what bad or the lack of parenting does to children. I guess the whole point of this speech is to kind of enlighten you on the effects of bad parenting, not on the effects of bad parenting, the effects that it has on the parent, on the child, and on our nation now and in the future. Let's begin with discussing how bad parenting affects first the parent. Parents, everybody has them. One thing they all have in common is that they really had no idea what they were doing when they first became parents. There's no handbook. I'm not a parent, but I know there's no handbooks. Children don't come with handbooks, and it's not easy. However, some parents do prepare for their children. They take classes, they read books, or they learn through other outlets. Today, however, many parents use children as a way to receive state money. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, in 2011, 46.2 million individuals lived off welfare or state-funded programs. Now, I really don't want to get crazy with talking about welfare, but welfare is a really great program if you're a single parent who has a child or children who's struggling, to get an education or to work, or, just to make it by. However, in most instances, that isn't the case. Most people use welfare as a crutch to keep them, kind of inside their safe little box. They don't tend to, instead of using welfare as a stepping stone to be like, okay, well, now that I do have money to put food on the table, I can use my money to, take some night classes, become a CNA, become whatever, and improve their, quality of life. This almost creates these individuals who believe that they are entitled to money that's just being handed over to them. They don't think that they need to work, and that's perfectly fine when it's not. That's not okay. Um, this is a perfect example of why parents should go through a licensing process in order to have children, because if your morals are set that you don't have to work and you don't have to improve your quality of life, then you shouldn't be having children, because you're just going to pass those morals and those values onto them, and they're going to believe the same thing, and that's not okay. This brings me to my next point: the children. You cannot be a parent without a child. No two children are alike. They all come with different needs, some more than others. Um, Children suffer greatly from bad parenting, obviously. They are not taught often how to behave in school, in public, just behave like civilized human beings in some cases. If parents don't take concern in education, for example, another thing, if lots of parents believe that, when they send their kids to school, their kids are supposed to be taught at school, and that's it, that nothing comes home or comes back on them, when that's not true. I would say it's very 50-50. There's a reason children have homework. There's a reason you're supposed to sit and read to your kids and do things like that. So if parents don't take a concern in education, what are they learning, and not taking what their children are learning and reinforcing it? Um, this in a way inhibits learning, and also, if a child is not properly cared for, not just with education, but physically, as far as bathing and clothing, this can cause, well, health issues, lice, rotten teeth, just and almost a poor self-image. It can really affect their self-esteem. And kids are cruel. Like I said, I work in a school system, and kids who are dirty and stink and things like that, they get bullied, and it's sad to say, but these parents aren't doing their children any favor in any aspect, emotionally, physically, or mentally, as far as education goes. Um, when and a good example also is when a parent doesn't care if his or her child graduates high school. Then why would that child care if they do? In some cases, people rise above adversity, and they want to break that mold and not be like their parents. But in most cases, it's a perfect cycle of, if your parents raise you not to care whether how your life turns out or what your quality of life is, then you grow up doing the same, and then when you have children, because you have that right as a human being to have children, you were raised that way, so you are how you were raised. Those were the morals you were raised on, so that's what you're going to teach your children, and it's just a never ending cycle. Which brings me, and then I'm going to go into my next point, talking about that never ending cycle, about kind of our nation and its future. Bad parenting, bad parents. I guess it's hard to kind of define what a bad parent is, because it's hard to define what a good parent is. Like I said, all children are different. I'm not really sure if licensing is the correct term to use. I chose that because it was kind of, people have talked about it before, and it's out there, so I figured that would be the best kind of open door to go through. Uh, this I think that when you ask people about it, it really does shed some light on the fact that bad parenting is killing our country, as much as reckless spending and no accountability. It sucks money out of our schools, our churches, cripples our judicial system. Yet not, if you've noticed, it's never a topic in any presidential debate. Nobody really, it's not a concern, which is really sad, because a lot of the issues we have stem from how people were raised, and how the family structure is kind of falling apart. Like I said, think of America's future. If we want to excel, we need to be producing bright, educated individuals. If children aren't being taught by their parents to listen, you need to go to college, or not even go to college, but you need to excel, you need to be learning, you need to read, why not expand your mind and things like that. It's just producing a cycle. It's producing a cycle of people who want to live off the state. Well, eventually, if everybody's living off the state, then there's nobody making money, so those people can't live off the state. So we'll be even in an even worse situation then than we are now. So pretty much to summarize, bad parenting, like I said, doesn't only affect the child, but it affects our nation. It affects the parents. It really just kind of has a mushroom cloud of damage that it causes. Parents who choose not to take care of themselves and their children rely on the state to take care of them, resulting in the parents never having to take responsibility or further themselves. Children are primarily affected by bad parenting, setting them up for even tougher road to success and creating a cycle of bad parenting. You behave how you were taught, like I said before. The nation will suffer from this presently because it is supporting these parents and their children, and it will be affected in the future by the cycle of bad parenting. I guess there really is no for sure solution for this, I guess, that I can give to you. I think it's kind of, everybody kind of has their own opinion on it. In my opinion, I do think people should have to go through, maybe not get a license, but go through some type of process in order to have children. I see it firsthand. I see people, and it sounds horrible to say, but that should not be procreating, not because of bad genes or anything like that, but because they can't take care of their kids, and they're not taking care of their kids, and that, that breaks my heart. I just want to mention a little survey that was done. If anybody's ever read Freakonomics, which is a book, they also have a website, and they did a little poll, and 60% of Americans polled that, or 60% of people, not just Americans, but 60% of the people that polled on this website thought it was a good idea to have a parent license, but thought it was impossible to implement. And another 32% thought it was something that should absolutely be done. So basically that means 92% of people who voted think that parents should need a license. People who read Freakonomics definitely are not uneducated people. If you've ever read the book, it's pretty high tech stuff. I guess I'm just kind of throwing this back out to you. What do you think? Do you think parents should have a license to have children?